anywhere in the left-leaning realm, you dominated Virginia. The only surprise, ladies and gentlemen, from last night, and it's maybe the goodwill that Judah bestowed upon him on yesterday's show, was that Jim Dillenbeck won a spot in the Albemarle County School Board in the Rio District. That's your boy, Judah Wickower.
Yep. Prayer and grace.
Prayer and grace. Was that the strategy?
And I think a bit of hard work on Jim Dillenbeck's
Okay,
part.
thank you. I'm glad you didn't marginalize Jim Dillenbeck's hard work, where he did a boatload of door knocking.
Yeah.
Like and share the show. Conan Owens in the house. The guy's as connected, ladies and gentlemen, in this community as any. And he certainly was very connected this election cycle. Vanessa Parkhill, thank you for liking the show. Viewers and listeners, like the show. Judah, make sure we're streaming to Conan's pages, Sir Speedy and Conan's personal page. If you're watching on any of these pages and you want to ask questions, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. We have some business development news that we're going to get to on today's program, including Orvis closing in the shops of Stonefield. I don't know about you, Conan. I'm going to ask you this question. It certainly seems to me that the shops of Stonefield are a very challenging ecosystem to do business within. Not trying to throw shade at the shops of Stonefield, but there's a boatload of turnover. The cameras are not on yet, but they can hear us talking here, Conan.
Yeah, definitely a lot of turnover, and I think the bigger problem is their long-term vacancies. When something goes down there, it stays vacant for a while. And
100%. And there's a domino effect. It's almost like Mayor Giuliani's broken windows theorem. If more broken glass and broken windows breeds other broken glass and broken windows. So what Giuliani wanted to do was clean up the streets. He immediately started focusing on fixing broken windows all over Manhattan and New York. That's one of the ways that he was able to do this. Now there's a socialist who's the mayor of the Big Apple. And it was a blue tidal wave across the board, which we're going to talk about on today's program. I'm going to ask Conan Owen this question. What is wrong with the Republican Party? What is wrong with the Republican Party in Virginia? What is wrong with the Republican Party in Albemarle County? I'm going to ask Conan Owen this question. What is the future of the Republican Party? I'm going to ask him this question. The Democrats of 2025, how are they different of the Democrats from 20 years ago? And we're going to talk about the cross-section of business and politics on the day after the election, because I think it certainly impacts the small business ecosystem, what's happening here. It's definitely going to impact the Board of Visitors, as Democrats now have a legislative trifecta in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Judah Wickower, my friend, make sure you are on a two-shot. Your opinion is certainly liked and needed. John Blair, thank you for liking the show. Viewers and listeners, we're going to rock and roll on today's program. Judah Wickower, we can do it when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Welcome to the I Love CVille show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on a post-election day, Wednesday in downtown Charlottesville. A blue tidal wave is among us. I mean, it's emerged. It was a decisive election cycle for Democrats across the country, certainly in the Commonwealth of Virginia, as the wake of Donald Trump is still being felt, and it was certainly felt yesterday, certainly in the Commonwealth. The Department of Justice, the Department of Government efficiency cuts, the overreach with the Department of Justice, the now the longest closing of the federal government in American history, just to name a few, all these factors pushed Virginians to polls at aggressive clips, ladies and gentlemen. And today on a Wednesday, the day after Election Day, the Democrats in the Commonwealth of Virginia have a legislative trifecta: control of the governor's mansion, control of the House of Delegates, control of the state Senate, and that influence, that blue tidal wave, trickled down significantly to Charlottesville, to Albemarle County, and beyond. The only upset that was not predicted on this program was Jim Dillenbeck winning in the Rio District. Jim Dillenbeck, who certainly leans right, is now on the Albemarle County School Board. I was shocked and saddened, frankly, that Jay Jones beat Jason Miyares in the Attorney General race, especially with the despicable text messaging that's come up from the Jay Jones camp. We'll talk about that with our guest today. It's Conan Owen. He's the owner, Judah, of Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. If you have a logo and you need visibility for it and you want increased application for your logo, there's one firm you call, and it's Sir Speedy of Central Virginia. He's a Darden graduate, Conan Owen. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia does the signage for the I Love CVille studio, literally the vinyl lettering on our storefront, the banner that's behind us, the signage in our office building on Market Street, and he is the point of contact and a key source for business development for hundreds of small business owners across Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia and Conan Owen are who you call. Studio camera, Judah Wickhauer, and then have a 3-shot ready to go. It's going to be 3 guys at the local watering hole talking about what we saw last night. We will pass the audio baton to Conan first. I start with a good afternoon. It's great to have you on the show. And then I start with basically, what did you see last night? Scatter shoot with me. What tickled your fancy? What struck you of last night's election cycle?
Well, thanks. It's great to be here again. I'm missing my water at this watering hole, so very bad service.
We can get you a beer or water.
Okay.
Any preference?
Just water for now.
Okay, we'll get him a water. Yeah.
As for last night, I don't think it was really a surprise, mainly because, I went to vote out in Ivy, and there was only one competitive race, which was for the one contested race, I should say, which was the Board of Supervisors race out there. And when you only have 1 out of 3 local races being contested, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. And it also tells you who's going to win that contested race for the most part. Jim Dellenbeck notwithstanding. Same in Charlottesville. It's just like, okay, they had 4 people running for 3 spots on the school board, but they were all pretty much philosophically aligned, so we knew where they were going. I will say, we were very lucky to work with Jen Fleischer and Ziana Bryant this election cycle. They both ordered a lot of yard signs from us. A surprising number, I thought, for a local election. Both of them came out number 1 in their races.
Can you put in perspective what a surprising amount of yard signs is, numbers-wise?
3 orders of like 50 each, so 150 yard signs.
That is a lot.
Each.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of yard signs.
Sure. Dylan Beck wins Rio District School Board. Outside of that, a complete blue tidal wave.
Yep.
Why don't we start Ziana Bryant? Look, I'm clear on my stance on Ziana Bryant. I've said she's either the most noteworthy or the most notorious activist in Charlottesville history, and that's kind of tomato, glass is half full, glass is half empty. It's in the eye of the beholder. My standpoint, the most notorious activist in Charlottesville history. She is now on the city school board and is one of a handful of people that will determine how hundreds of millions of dollars are spent of taxpayer dollars with educating our children. She's a client of yours. I understand that maybe the commentary is different from mine, as it should be. Probably if I was in your seat, it would be the same. What did you make of Ziana Bryant winning a spot on the school board?
Well, I will say the other day you said something about, okay, she doesn't have kids. Her only qualifications are she went to school here. It's like, well, honestly,
you can push back on that.
Yeah, no, because honestly, I'm look at all the experts who told us what to do during COVID, and it turned out all to be wrong. So I'm all for having a fresh perspective. I mean, I personally think I could tell a school board how to do things, spend money a lot more efficiently, stop growing the administrative class, really focus on resources and discipline and getting things, getting the buses running.
I agree with all that.
Yeah. So I don't think you have to be a parent. I'm not a parent, but I think I could tell them a thing or two about how to run a school district.
You also are not 23, 24 years old. You also are a master's in business from the Darden School. You also have run multiple small businesses. Yeah. You also have significant life experience.
But some people, they just may have some really good ideas. I mean, I'll wait and see. I don't hold her, as Ronald Reagan said, I don't hold her youth and inexperience against her. But we'll see. It'll all come out to see what she comes up with.
And I want to get you in on a 3-shot. Are you on a 3-shot now? Yep. Chime in on any discussion here, Ziana Bryant included here. Mm-hmm. I want a gentleman, this topic for you, the viewers and listeners, and Deep Throat chime in, John Blair chime in, Vanessa Parkhill chime in, Lloyd Snook, Andrew Vermillion, Bill McChesney. We got supervisors and counselors watching the program right now. Why was there a blue tidal wave this election cycle? Conan, we start with you. Judah Wickhauer, we follow.
Well, in Charlottesville, because it's Charlottesville, it's just the majority of the population around here. Yeah, a little different than 20 years ago. especially in the county, but that's obviously changed with the incredible growth that we've had here. Statewide, I think a lot of it is a reaction to, the changes that are the structural changes that are happening at the government level. It sucks to have people out of work, but I think part of that is a byproduct of the way our federal government is so ridiculously structured to have so many federal jobs in a single area. So naturally, that's where the pain is going to be felt the most. But you also look at the job cuts that the government they made a lot of noise about that, but it really didn't change that much the actual number of people. I think on the flip side, it's telling. It's like how many real government services have been are their kids not getting educated because the Department of Education has been closed for 38 days? No, they haven't. They're still chugging along. There are still things being done. I think it's absolutely a travesty that anyone in Washington, in the congressional side of things and in the executive office, is drawing a paycheck while the rest of the country isn't.
Amen, brother.
That has to change right away, but it's not going to. And part of it, comes back. You mentioned, with and we'll get to this more in depth with the Board of Visitors and Spanberger having her way, and and what's going on in Washington with this talk about getting rid of the filibuster, which I just have a real problem with both sides in terms of their just absolute hypocrisy. And it's the one thing. It's why I hate all politicians. It's like, sorry, even my clients who are politicians, I don't like you because I know at some point you're just going to be a hypocrite because that's part of the job description. This whole idea of, let's get rid of the filibuster. Well, when Schumer proposed it, it was a bad idea. Now Trump's proposing it. He thinks it should be a good idea. Schumer got rid of the majority vote on the justice approvals, and it came back to bite him when Trump got elected. Schumer voted for a clean CR back in the fall, and he won't, or in the spring, and he won't do it now because of an unrelated issue. We try to get pork out of the budget, and everyone says, "Oh, that's great," but you turn around and it comes back. So they're all just absolutely worthless in my mind, and it's not going to change because of the money and the pressure, and it's all about retaining power and your position in office.
Comments coming in faster than I can keep up with right now. Caitlin Mancini Lawton, welcome to the program. Georgia Gilmer, Carol Thorpe, Jason Noble, Bill McChesney, Bob Yarborough, Jeremy Wilson in Eastern Tennessee. We're going to get to your comments. Marlene Jones, print, radio, and television watching the program. I'm going to you on Blue Tidal Wave. Your thoughts on that, Judah Wickower, in about 20 seconds. Democrats have a legislative trifecta now. House of Delegates, State Senate, governor, all under Democratic control. This will most certainly impact the University of Virginia. You see why state Democrats were so angry with interim President Paul Mahoney, who entered the agreement with the DOJ and the Trump administration weeks ago. They knew what was coming last night. We all did. This is no surprise. I agree with 99.9% of what Conan said. This is collateral damage of what Donald Trump has done in a very short time in office. Whether good, whether bad, it's impacted Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, and it's impacted Virginia enough to drive Democrats at aggressive clips to vote. Much greater clip than we saw in the Youngkin-McAuliffe race when there was not a presidential election at that time. So that's the comp. The comp is McAuliffe and Youngkin because there was no presidential election on the ballot at the time, and Democrats came out in significant more masses this time versus the Youngkin and McAuliffe election cycle. Judah Wickower, jump in. Conan Owen, we'll get to you, and then we'll get to viewers and listeners' comments. Judah Wickower, go.
I think there's a bit of the metronome going on where every few years we bounce back and forth between one and the other, but I feel like somebody usually it's either steady or if you know anything about physics, eventually you need to put more energy into the system in order to keep it going. It feels like whether it's Trump being arrogant, whether it's Trump's policies, whether it's things like the DOJ trying to force UVA and other universities into deals, I feel like they're putting energy into that system, and we're seeing the result in a deeper swing. New York City going for Mamdani. Like you said, the blue tidal wave. There is, this big reaction to Trump's America, and we're getting the return on that energy.
William McChesney says, "Amen." Conan Owen, Georgia Gilmer agrees with you. Money, influx of left-leaning folks. Carol Thorpe says Virginia should be absolutely embarrassed for electing Jay Jones, blue wave or not. Bill McChesney shocked Jay Jones elected. Jason Noble, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons we lost is because the Democrats are unified, the moderate Dems are unified with the extremists. This is not the case for the Republican Party. He also highlights, thank goodness his kids are not affiliated with city schools. Deep Throat says, by the way, did you see Charlottesville City went 85% for Jay Jones? 85%. He also says all the things Conan said make total sense, and none of them are things Zy Bryant would support. He also says this, Deep Throat, don't read too much into New York City. It isn't America anymore. In the last 5 years, out-migration of native-born Americans, over 1 million from the state, and new immigration from abroad, a bit less than that. And guess how many people from poor countries tend to vote? That's what he's highlighting with Manhattan and New York. Conan Owen, comments are coming in faster than I can keep up with now. Where do you want to go?
Well, one thing I will say, I think you're a little off on your statistics. Overall turnout was down from the McAuliffe-Youngkin race, and the difference was...
Democratic turnout was up.
Was it?
Yeah, Democratic turnout was okay. Overall turnout was down. Democratic turnout was up.
Yeah, because the Republicans lost 500,000 voters, and I think part of it gets back to what's wrong with the Republicans. There was no good, clear message.
No messaging.
Honestly, yeah. It was like... For weeks, I'd see these ads for Spanberger and the rest of them, and it was just like, is there another side running here? And then the messages they came out with weren't very good. But getting back to what I said earlier about hypocrisy, it's everyone complains, bad rhetoric and inciting this and inciting that. It's just like, but then you turn around and nominate an attorney general who's said what he said. So it's just like, I'm sorry, you've given up the moral high ground on that, and that's the problem. Is each side has launched their nukes, and they've all done their worst, and now it's a bunch of zombies running around and running the country because none of them have any principles. And that's something I've said for years and years, is that if what you believe doesn't change in terms of what it's a framework of analyzing the world, then that's a principle. If it changes based on what you need today, then that's politics. Like Schumer saying, "Oh, we need a clean CR," and then he turns and goes, "No, we need to link it to healthcare." It's just like, no, I'm sorry, that's not a principle. That's your You're trying to make a political point. And same thing, if you say, "Oh, well, violence and all, and this and that and the other thing," it's like, but then you elect somebody who talks like that.
You're talking Jay Jones.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's just like, they're all just trying to get what's good for them. I think this is like everything else I mentioned earlier with the extreme positions of, the filibuster and all that. I think you've got a similar problem coming down the pike with the Board of Visitors. If, the Senate had been blocking appointees just like Mitch McConnell blocked Merrick Garland from getting on the Supreme Court. And now it's going to spin around and Abigail's going to get that. You don't know what's going to happen in 2 years. It could turn the other way. And then the Republicans are going to say, well, you know what, Abigail, you guys did this to us, so we're going to do it to you. And it just ends up being this childish game of people trying to poke each other in the eye with a longer stick. And at some point you have to get back to, like I said, principles. It's like, does the governor have the right to appoint these people or not? And if not, then everybody needs to go through a Senate vote and a Senate confirmation hearing. And if they do have then don't try and hold it up through procedural stuff.
3.3 million Virginians voted in this year's election cycle. In the McAuliffe-Youngkin cycle, that was 2,544,000. So significantly more overall in this election cycle. Judah, you jump in here. I totally agree that messaging with the Republican Party, fallout from Trump and some of his perceived overreach, has impacted the Republicans this election cycle. An extremely unapproachable Republican governor candidate and Winsome Earl Sears, who frankly ran a fractured campaign, fired her campaign manager just a couple of months before Election Day, a campaign manager that was initially hired to solicit the black vote and then fired a couple of months before the Election Day. Her first campaign manager had no political experience. You had the Youngkin sextortion with John Reed, that seemed absolutely soap opera-esque. Which is crazy. The fact that Jason Miyares could not beat Jay Jones despite the sex scandal is a travesty. Frankly, these are my words. Virginians should be embarrassed that Jay Jones won with that text messaging rhetoric, the violence that he put out there. And it trickles down to the local level. Goodness gracious, Fred Missel shellacked Scott Smith. We put in over-under of 10 points. It was almost twice that, what Fred Missel did.
60-40.
It was utter domination right there, to the point where Scott Smith wasn't even returning calls from the press. The ass beating was so bad. Okay, anywhere you want to go, we'll talk local here. We still have real business news and real estate news to get to, most notably the closing of Orvis and the shops of Stonefield, which we'll talk about that with Conan. What's on your mind? Then we'll go to Conan, then we'll get to comments that are coming in quickly.
Conan is 100% right about messaging and the lack thereof. With pretty much every candidate you could mention, from Winsome Earl Jones to
Winsome Earl Sears,
to Jason Miyares, all the way down. There really wasn't a message. There certainly wasn't a consistent message. And the other side had the consistent message of, oh, they're just MAGA Republicans. And that was really, especially for our locality, the only thing you had to say. I mean, I don't really think you didn't need bus stop visits. You didn't need Spanberger coming to town. Pretty much just spin that message everywhere you go, and you're gonna see as we did, people come out of the woodwork to vote for Democrats,
Conan
no
Owen.
matter what.
Yeah, this is how bad the Republicans were this cycle. Look at their ticket: black woman immigrant, gay man, son of Cuban immigrants.
Incumbent.
And
Son of Cuban immigrant, incumbent.
And two out of three are running for a re-election.
And they got their ass beat.
Yeah, it's just like they walk into a bar, they walk into a polling place, and nobody notices.
Right.
It's like a bad joke. It really was. It's just like how did this? It's just like that's. And the funny thing is that if you look at Trump did not win Virginia, but Youngkin did. And if you look at the difference between, Youngkin really had the school thing going for him. And Winsome tried to carry that, but it was like that kind of was already played out. It's like everyone already said, what they thought about it. It got Youngkin, and he got a lot of the suburban folks that were kind of those moderate voters, a lot of Northern Virginia voters that, may or may not be government employees, or at least have a lot of government employees in their neighborhood. I think that soured a lot of people. Whose fault the shutdown is, you can debate all day long, just like they're doing up in town. But the reality is that's what you're living with.
100%. And the Republicans took it on the chin for the government shutdown. And whose fault it is, we can debate that all day. But the people that took the collateral damage for the longest shutdown in American history were the Republicans on the ticket this cycle.
Yeah, especially in Virginia. Very little impact in New Jersey or New York.
100%. 100%. So I'll throw this to you, gentlemen, and comments are coming in quickly. Let's go to Carol Thorpe, the Queen of Jack Jewett. She follows politics closely. She says the Winsome Earl Sears campaign was one of the weakest and most ineffective campaigns I have ever witnessed. She may have made a good governor, but she was absolutely lousy candidate. She also says John Reed was a ghost for most of this run. Only Jason Miyares showed any fire at the top of the ticket. Carol Thorpe, I agree with you often. I 1,000% agree with that comment right there from the Queen of Jack Jewett. Let's ask both you guys this question and the viewers and listeners this question. Judah, I'll start with you on this one. The Democrats and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Do either of you identify with today's version of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party? Are they caricatures of their former selves? Where do you stand politics-wise in this two-party system? Judah, I'm curious of your thoughts on this one.
I don't know that I really. Identify with either side. I think most of the people watching this show know that I tend towards common sense, at least as I see it. It is my own common sense. It's thinking about things and not just endorsing something because that's what everybody else is endorsing. And I really see like I said, a metronome. There's very little. That's not true. On the national stage, there seems to be very little, reaching across the aisle, very little moving towards the center, very little trying to find common ground and solutions that work for everyone. It's an either or. It's a zero-sum game where either you're right or the other guy is wrong, and that's always the case. And it's both sides.
Conan.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think back, I grew up in the D.C. area. I been around politics my entire life. I don't recognize either of the parties. I think back to, Jack Kennedy, saying tax cuts lift, rising tide lifts all boats. Well, you can't say that in the Democrat Party anymore. And, some of the stuff, even some of the stuff that, Reagan talked about with giving amnesty to illegals and agreeing to some tax cuts in 1986, you'd never get a Republican to, I mean, look what happened to George H.W. when, he did the read my lips and he got drummed out of office after one term. So it started shortly after Reagan, kind of for both parties. Is it really started that divide and the mudslinging and the real dirt behind things. It just kept getting uglier and uglier and uglier, and I think we've gotten to the point now where there's a lot of, they're just true division. And, you see the comments on social media and people unfriending each other over politics.
It's nasty.
Just like, it's just like, I don't, I look at you, what kind of human being are you?
100%.
It's like, even with my own family, we don't agree on stuff. And that's fine. But, there are a lot of things that, are going to change over time. And there's also, I think part of the problem is there's also an expectation that if you don't think the way I do, then there's something wrong with you, or if you aren't part of this monolith. And I think that was one thing that was the real big surprise in the last presidential election was the number of Latinos that voted for Trump was through the roof. 40-something% in a lot of cases. His increase in the black vote was tremendous, one of the highest ever for, I think it was the highest ever for a Republican. But then he lost the educated white women. And you see that very much as part of the strong protest movement. Who are the people out protesting on college campuses and all that, and it's college-educated white women. So there's become this real divide in the country that is really difficult to navigate. And you see it, on some of these comments in social media that we've talked about how, people come out and say, oh, well, that business, supported this person, and all of that. It's just like, business is business. I don't, did I ask Ziana Bryant what her positions were? No. She needed signs made. I'll make signs and I'll make them same day for you.
She pays you for a service.
She pays me for a service.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And the Republicans, if they weren't so damn cheap, they would have bought stuff from me.
You should talk about this. What are you seeing with that? Seriously.
No, well, I got contacted by one of the guy who was the head of the county chairman for all the counties in Virginia, and they wanted 1,500 4x8 yard signs to put up all over the state. And I gave them the rock bottom price I could give them. And they said, oh, well, one of the other chairmen found some company in Ohio that'll do it for $1 a sign less.
That's insanity.
And I was just like, so let me get this straight. So for 4% less, because I was going to charge them $25 for, it was a big order, it was 2,000 signs or something. They're like, for $1 less, you're going to send this out of state. It's like, where's this? You don't support small business.
Yeah.
No, you're the cheapest. You're going for the cheapest guy on the block. That's a big problem in general in politics because they're trying to stretch their donation dollars as far as they go. And I learned last cycle to make sure to get paid up front because if your candidate loses, his money dries up and you don't want him holding any bills. You got stiff? A couple.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Anyone you want to name?
Nah, it's all right.
Okay.
They got trounced badly enough in the election that's enough for them.
Okay. All right. Comments are coming in quickly.
But yeah, that to me is, it becomes a really difficult thing to say, you know what? It's like, I'm here to, if people, for me, first of all, and everyone that came in, that whether they want just a flyer for their campaign, the first thing I say to them is thank you for putting yourself out there.
Yeah, of
I don't
course.
care what you believe. I
Same.
mean, that is a brutal thing that you're exposing yourself to.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna add a little bit of color here. Think about the Albemarle County Republican Party. The only contested election in the Board of Supervisors was Scott Smith and Fred Missel. The Republicans of Albemarle County in the Samuel Miller District could not run a candidate for the Jack Jewett race. Sally Duncan ran unopposed in the general election, right? She lost. She beat Dave Shreve in the Democratic primary. The Albemarle County Republicans could not run a candidate in the Rio District for the third straight term. Ned Galloway has run unopposed. And the only candidate the Albemarle County Republicans could run in the Samuel Miller District was Scott Smith, who's lived in Albemarle County for like 4 years and had zero name recognition. And he ran against Fred Missel, who's been here basically his whole life and has got a generation of roots and connections in Albemarle County. That shows you how bad, it's a microcosm, how bad the Albemarle County Republican Party is right now. No candidate for Rio District, no candidate for Jack Jewett, and the only candidate they ran for Board of Supervisors was someone who's lived in this area for 48 months and got beat by almost 20 points.
I mean,
Right?
I have the impression that the Republican Party in this area is just, a couple people in a dark room somewhere.
100%.
And they come out once a year. I'm surprised that they even heard about Smith. And
I would bet you Smith found them. I bet you that's how that
I was
worked.
going to say, somehow he stumbled into that dark room and they bumped into each other.
Yeah.
And if that hadn't happened, he would have still just ran and said he was Republican, and really, I don't think there would have been any difference.
And there would have been no difference, 100%. Comments are coming in quickly for both you guys. John Blair's watching the program. A couple of thoughts. No Republican, John Blair says, has won a statewide election in Virginia without carrying Virginia Beach since 1977. 1973 is the last time they won a statewide election without carrying Virginia Beach. Second, I was driving around running errands a few weeks ago. I turned on WINA and somehow caught Rob Schilling saying the following. He had tried to get Winsome Earl Sears to come on his program for weeks and could not get a call back. Now, all three of you know what that means. How in the world can you run as a Republican and refuse an offer to come on a radio show with a friendly Republican host?
Right.
Just shocking. He also says, Jason Miyares, by the way, did not carry his home city of Virginia Beach, by the way. John Blair closes with this. As to consequences, you'd have to be an absolute idiot to allocate a single dollar of capital towards multifamily real estate in Virginia over the next 4 years. You'll see rent control for sure, which will only lead to extraordinary constriction of supply. John Blair, he's a man in the know. Fantastic comments from him. How about this stat for both you guys? And then Conan, you jump in, go anywhere you want. How about this one from Deep Throat, who's very much a data guy? He says, you know what is another great stat from the exit polls? Winsome Earl Sears, a black woman, got 4% of the vote from black women. Seriously, 4%. Abigail Spanberger earned 96% of the vote from black women voters. Winsome Earl Sears, 4%. Conan Owen, a lot to unpack. Comments are coming in extremely quickly. What's the impact on the University of Virginia? Because that impacts our business world.
Oh, very much so. I think you're going to see what I mentioned is, the Democrats are going to come in and they're going to, start naming people to the boards of visitors as they peel off, whether or not they're going to be able to impeach them or whatever they have to do to remove any of the existing folks. I don't know that that's something that I don't know that that's a road you want to go down, because it really opens a Pandora's box about what could happen somewhere. And that's the other problem with politicians. They don't think beyond the next election, and they don't think about the good of the country or their own policies or what it all means. So I would caution them against going, trying to remove people from the Board of Visitors. But I think, they are going to very clearly move their agenda. I don't think they can do anything about the agreement that Mahoney signed. And it'll be really interesting to see, what they end up doing in terms of, so are they just going to, turn this into a big fight and say, we're bringing back, all the things that the Trump administration opposed to, because they say I can't undo the agreement, but I can just not follow it and say, okay, what are the consequences?
The federal funding.
Yeah, and let's see what really happens there, and how much of it really is,
Legitimate funding.
Yeah, because one of the things they said was, oh well, you have to sign this agreement in order to get preferential treatment in the allocation of funding. That doesn't mean
the federal funding goes away.
Yeah, it just means you may not be, given
front of the line.
You may not get a gold star in your application.
Yeah.
You're just put in with the rest of the people. So, what the real effects were was really kind of hard to determine. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Does the university dip into its considerable endowment to fund any of this stuff? Because that's the thing that's always floored me, is that they've got so much money that they could easily
$15 billion.
Okay, $15 billion.
Yeah.
If you do a conservative, return on, it's like the number of full scholarships they could fund for people. You could give a scholarship for the top graduate of every high school in every county in the state, and you could fund that out of your, the change that collects in the couch cushions at JPJ. It just seems that, but you drive around town and it's like, how many construction projects are going on right now, and how much real estate are they buying up, and what exactly are they doing with that, and is it really in the academic interest? Is building a hotel and conference center really in the interest of UVA if you don't have a hospitality school? I mean, if you think about it, they should have one, because they've got, you've got the Forum on grounds, which is owned by the Darden Foundation. You've got the new Virginia Guest House, the mansion at Birdwood. You've got the Boar's Head Resort. You've got all these, dining halls and everything. It's like you could open a hospitality school here. But they don't seem to be interested in that. And that, that's why I don't know what their decision-making process is. But, they are swallowing up a lot of the real estate, which, they're with not paying taxes. They've got an advantage in bidding. So it'd be really hard I'm always amazed when, a commercial entity gets a hold of a piece of property that UVA was even remotely interested in, just because they have the bidding advantage. But that kind of leads also to, what I heard you saying earlier before the show started was, development. It's like, okay, now development's going to be full speed ahead because there's no one to stop them. It's like, well, that used to be the Republican position. But now here in this area, you've got the Democrats are divided between growth and no growth, when it used to be the Republicans arguing with the Democrats about growth.
The only issue I see that the Democrats are divided on right now is actually development of green space in Albemarle County. And the city of Charlottesville, we see Democrats that are extremely pro-development and pro-housing, and whatever housing stock that is. We saw that with the new zoning ordinance. Albemarle County Democrats are divided on development. The only thing, Republicans in Albemarle County are divided across the board. They can't get on the same bus to save their lives here. Comments are coming in extremely quickly on the impact to the University of Virginia. Spanberger is going to get in office. My prediction is the rector, Rachel Sheridan, her days are numbered. And it's going to be a malpractice type of push. The same thing Youngkin did with Bert Ellis. And Rachel Sheridan's going to be off the board. I also think Porter Wilkinson, the vice rector, she's in extremely hot water right now with Spanberger and the House of Delegates of the state Senate being trifecta, completely controlled by the Democrats right there. Spanberger's going to have 5 appointments coming up. You're going to see this BOV have a completely different makeup, and then you're going to start seeing these positions at the University of Virginia filled with like-minded people and people willing to take these positions. Remember, being a school president, Jim Ryan's words, it's no way to make a living. His words, this is no way to make a living. You need the board to be on your side if you want to be a school president, you want to take this job. Judah Wickhauer, you jump in here anywhere you want to go. Comments are coming in. I'm gonna highlight those comments. We'll go back to Conan. Very curious of your thoughts on Dillenbeck getting a victory. That could be something that you pontificate about. You know the man well. He's a member of your church, a deacon at your church here. How about the Dillenbeck win in the Rio District School Board?
I think that was, I said he was going to get it, and it turned out to be true. He worked his butt off. He's been working for 4 elections. Two of them because I think let's see, one was because Carlson left the seat to take a higher position.
Delegate. Then he wanted to get in the mix when Chuck Pace died. He
Yep.
did not get the appointment when Pace died.
But throughout his campaigning, he's stuck with it. He's talked to people door to door, and where I think a lot of politics is, picking one side over the other. I think Jim Dillenbeck just convinced people face to face that that he had not only what it takes, but also great ideas. And I think he's going to be a spectacular voice on the school board, and I'm excited to hear how things go.
Is there some kind of dichotomy we can highlight here, fellas, with Ziana Bryant getting on the school board in the city of Charlottesville and Jim Dellenbeck getting on the school board in Albemarle County? Dellenbeck and Ziana Bryant are polar opposites. And in neighboring jurisdictions, Albemarle County voters in the Rio district handpicked Dellenbeck over someone that was already on the board.
Yeah.
And voters in the city council pick either the most noteworthy or the most notorious activist in Charlottesville history to be on the school board. Is there any kind of dichotomy there to highlight?
Well, just honestly, part of the thing is that, the city, it's a citywide election as opposed to a district election. So if you're in the right district in the county, you might find a very different demographic. And also when you look at the numbers of people when you're running essentially unopposed, it's like it's all Democrats coming out. You pick 3 out of the 4 on the ballot. So I think it's more kind of based on the structure of who gets in, because at the same time they also elected the other 2.
Yeah, two incumbents.
Yeah, Emily Dooley.
Emily Dooley and Larson.
Larson. So, it's like, is there a dichotomy there? No, it's just Charlottesville versus, city, everything's citywide, not ward based, and the county being, on a district basis.
Lisa Larson Torres. Deshaun Cooper has lost another election. Might be time for Mr. Cooper to hang up his spurs. And time will tell. He is an extremely influential member of the Charlottesville Democratic Party. I believe the vice chair of the Democratic Party, Mr. Cooper. Let me throw this question to you. You are in the business of doing business with other businesses. You are B2B.
Yeah.
Do you feel more bullish or bearish today with running a business that's B2B in Charlottesville and Albemarle County primarily?
No change.
No change. Wow. Okay.
No change.
Wow. Explain why. I thought it might be more bearish today, but am I wrong? I read that wrong?
Well, part of the thing is, you've got the major news coming to town. The big employers, they don't change very
AstraZeneca,
much.
okay.
And part of it is, whatever it was, whatever Youngkin Magic had. The one thing I will say this is one thing I'd be concerned about, more about the statewide level, more so than the Charlottesville-wide level, is the other day Spanberger came out and said she will not work with Trump on job creation. She said, that's like helping the arsonist rebuild the house after he burned it down. Big problem with that is they overlap for 3 years. So 3 out of her 4 years in office, she's saying, I'm not going to go help bring, because it isn't just the governor that brings these things in. A lot of it also comes, look at the discussions Trump's having right now with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk about bringing lower prices for the weight loss drugs. And guess what happens when you cut that from $600 a month to $100 a month? Your demand goes up, and those drugs haven't been in huge supply, so they're going to have to build manufacturing plants somewhere. And if Trump's the one who helped them get their volume up, he's probably, his administration's going to have an influence on where those plants might go. And if Spanberger's like, no, I'm not going to talk to him, well, guess what? They're going to Tennessee, or they're going to Texas or Florida or some other place that will welcome them. So that, I think, from a statewide, would it have an impact on this area? Possibly, but I think that's my biggest concern. But I think there's so much upside in this area as well, in terms of, you've got all this great real estate in Waynesboro that would be amazing for manufacturing. All those abandoned warehouses, lots of great space. You've got lower cost. I don't think you have the development restrictions there that you have. I know Atlantic Builders and Greenwood are putting up lots of developments over there, mainly as a bedroom community for Charlottesville, but Stanton's growing a lot with the hospital and all those distribution centers out there. I think there's enough momentum for Virginia as a place to do business, that I'm not too worried about it in this market. I'm more worried about kind of the day-to-day low level, and I mean not low level because it's not important, but kind of much below the governor's purview, but things like safety and cleanliness of the downtown mall. What is the long-term plan for our shopping centers on 29 that are stumbling, and even at the base of Pantops, because there's a lot of commercial real estate out there that is kind of on that teetering of, are we going to be able to really take it to the next level? Even Stonefield now with Orvis leaving, and that restaurant Trevinia has been empty for Lord knows how long.
Beginning of COVID.
The one thing I will say, they are seeing a swing on that. As you drive up Bond Street there on the right, you're getting Steak Shack is taking over the old Burger Box space. You've got this new chicken salad restaurant concept that's coming in there. And
Is that going to Stonefield or Barracks Road?
That's Stonefield.
That's Stonefield, the chicken salad
the
chick?
Chicks, yeah, the chicken salad chicks, I think is what it's called. And then I just saw that there is a clothing store going in one of the spaces there near Lululemon called SH Franklin. Their website didn't say a whole lot, but I saw a related post somewhere that there used to be a men's shop in Lynchburg years ago called S.H. Franklin. So I don't know if they borrowed the name or this is a reincarnation or what. So you're getting 3 new tenants there relatively quickly, which I think will help. But now, you've got Orvis coming empty, and you have and Creighton Marrow went out last month. So there's a lot of turnover there.
There's significant turnover there.
Whereas Barracks seems to be doing much better. There's a new tenant already signed for the Peter Chang space. You've got Roback going in at the North Wing. There's going to be an announcement relatively soon about the Bed Bath & Beyond space. And they're also doing a very large renovation plan for next year for the whole shopping center, going to connect the island. So the island's no longer going to be an island. They're going to be public dining spaces and outdoor spaces.
That's genius.
Yeah.
That's a smart move.
So that's going on. That's a good thing. There's a couple of other interesting happenings kind of north in the county. There's this the Forge. It's a game shop. So if you like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and things of that nature, they're moving up to Hollymead on the left-hand side next to Tony's Diner. The very nice young couple that is moving this business, they've outgrown their space on Angus Road. It's a world I don't know anything about. I gave up my Dungeons and Dragons geekiness in my 20s.
I'm now entering the Pokemon world as a father of 2 young boys.
Well, you'll probably spend lots of time up there.
They previously were by Knight Brothers.
Yes.
And they're moving to a bigger space, more Class A at Hollymead.
Yeah, ground floor retail.
Hollymead's seeing some movement over there.
They are.
Another one of your clients, Hollymead, is at Hollymead. You broke that news on this program.
The Fox Den.
The Fox Den.
The Fox Den is getting outfitted right now. They're hoping to open by Thanksgiving. But the Forge is going to be an interesting place. Yeah. They have been chosen to host a regional competition for a Star Wars role play game.
Fantastic.
Which I don't know anything about. All I know is they're saying they have to rent a ballroom like the Omni or something to house all the pointy heads that are going to come play this game. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal if you're getting hundreds of kids from the region coming, and you have to rent a ballroom to entertain them for the day. So that's going to be an interesting business model there. But yeah, the Fox Den is going to be opening very soon, and their owner, who owns the CVille Blues football club, they're getting ready for another season. They're probably going to be back at Charlottesville High School, but they may be moving to a bigger venue. Waiting to hear on that.
Comments coming in. Carol Thorpe's got a good one here. When Abigail Spanberger is sworn into office as Virginia's first female governor, it will mark the first time in more than a decade that Democrats will lead D.C., Maryland, and Virginia at the same time. The last time Democrats led all three was in January 2015. Back then, Terry McAuliffe was governor. Martin O'Malley was finishing his second term as governor of Maryland. And Muriel Bowser was just starting her first term as mayor of D.C. Carol, I appreciate your comments on the show today. This is from William, the mayor of McIntyre. Will the recessionary decline continue in downtown Charlottesville, or will the homeless shelter move the metronome back the other way? One of the things that I'm hoping will move the metronome when it comes to the houseless back the other way is the homeless shelter, $6.2 million, plus millions more to upfit it. All in, the city's going to be on the hook for more than $10 million of taxpayer resources. And then they have to fund the day-to-day operations of this 27,000 square foot homeless campus that you can see from the bypass. Any more thoughts you want to offer on what you're seeing with that homeless campus?
My big question is, what's the mechanism for getting the people off the downtown mall and off of Market Street, so they're no longer congregating around the Haven, and does the Haven go away? Because as long as it's
Haven,
there,
I've been told, will go away for $5 million. That's what I've been told. And I continue to mention that on the show. It has got me in hot water with some, but that's just the facts. If folks want the Haven to go away, the folks running the Haven say it's going to take them $5 million.
Well, probably because they're going to want to open another facility.
Well, no, they just want to exit, and they say their number's $5 million, which is considerably more than market value. They're like, we're going to continue doing this unless you give us $5 million.
So, what does a nonprofit do with $5 million?
I think the man that owns the real estate gets a nice little payday.
Got it. Okay.
That's what
you got an option. Okay.
Yeah.
But now, my big concern with that is how. I mean, just because you put if you build it, will they come? Because you're not allowed to forcibly remove them and take them there under our local current set of laws, unless there's maybe they'll change that with some kind of mechanism to say, well, if you are like in a business's doorway, you are considered trespassing and you will be removed. After so many violations, I don't know what it is. I think it's a great idea, and it is unfortunate that it may affect the Aberdeen barn, and a few other businesses. But at the same time, it's just like look at what the people on the downtown mall have had to deal with for over a decade. It's just like, I'm sorry, somebody has to bear the brunt of this. They can't exist in a spaceship.
I showed some commercial real estate a couple weeks ago downtown. Showing went phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. There's going to be 3 offices leased. As we're walking out of this tour, second tour, most positive commentary after the tour ever. Literally, 2 homeless guys are fighting, throwing punches at each other, much to the horror of the folks on the tour who chose not to rent the space.
Yeah.
Literally, this happened to me within the last 30 days. And you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
In the last 30 days, that happened to me.
Yeah.
And it was 3 offices. We're talking many thousands of dollars a month in rent roll.
And if that happens in the middle of the day.
Middle of the day, this happens.
And you can imagine what happens at night.
Literally daytime.
And, what does that do for your meals tax? And we've talked in the past about, the decline in the meals tax and the decline in the foot traffic. And part of the thing is now you've gotten, areas like, Belmont is really sprung up now. The Jervy, I got to eat there a couple of weeks ago. It was amazing.
The really steakhouse at Belmont.
The new, yeah.
Tell us about that experience. That ain't cheap.
Oh, no, it sure wasn't. But then again, nothing in Charlottesville is. The fine dining scene in a restaurant,
Let me ask you this question. What was the total bill?
2 people.
You and your wife?
Yeah.
Did you guys drink?
Yeah, we usually will split a bottle of wine when we go out. No dessert, with tip. Pretty much anywhere we go now is about $250.
So this is $250.
Yep.
Okay. Did the experience and the food justify a $250 bill?
The Jervy was pretty close.
So you say you give that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you had another dining experience.
Yeah, I did have another dining experience. I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather not say where.
Okay.
But another new restaurant in town, same price point. The wine was very good, but otherwise it was mediocre at best.
Not justified the $250.
No, the service wasn't great. The food wasn't great. Place was packed. I'll give them that. Maybe it's curiosity, but
novelty.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it sustainable?
They got to turn it around.
Interesting location for that one.
Yeah,
that we're not going to name.
They got to turn it around. But part of the thing is, we go to Black Cow, we go to Tavola on a regular basis.
Those are the best of the best.
Those are the best of the best. We go to Petit Pois on kind of a casual.
Petit Pois is the great.
Not anymore. Not anymore because of the weather change. We love sitting outside, despite the homeless entertainment.
But what Brian Hellenberg has done at Petit Pois is build that wall of gardening.
Yeah.
That garden wall around the outdoor patio.
It keeps growing and it helps a lot.
It's
it really
genius.
It gives a great ambiance. But yeah, if you go to one of the top places and get a bottle of wine, for, it's $125 a head. But by the time it's all in,
that's bananas.
Well, you've also got that 10% meals tax.
Yeah, 12%.
12%. It is bananas, and it's getting to the point, and then if you
and this guy and his wife have money here.
Well,
Well, you put a lot of money into your business. How's that?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get it back out. It's been a slow process, but no, there's and then if you have to pay to park in one of these parking lots for anywhere from $5 to $20 for dinner, it really does. It really does add up.
I want to highlight the Vermillions, John and Andrew Vermillion, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 61 consecutive years in business. John and Andrew Vermillion, their business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, run by the same family for 3 generations, located on East High Street and online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. They have free in-market delivery, ladies and gentlemen. They literally will offer better service, better product, and free delivery that's faster on your doorstep than any of the big box stores can do. Charlottesville Sanitary Supply for anything sanitary related. Carly Wagner has comments. She's fantastic. Wasn't the quote something like $58 million to run 12 bus routes on 1 day a week? I can only imagine the annual cost for operating the new shelter. My friend from out of town had a work retreat in Charlottesville, and as a reward for hitting their sales goals, their feedback, the downtown mall is absolutely gross. Saw a man pooping in the bushes. That's what Carly says her friend said. My parents visited the downtown Charlottesville. They also said the same thing. My wife had a friend that was in a wedding, and they stayed at the Omni, and this friend was a maid of honor in my wife and I's wedding. So she saw downtown Charlottesville. They live in Massachusetts. She saw downtown Charlottesville pre-COVID, and then because she saw it pre-COVID, literally booked a room on the Omni because of what she remembered the downtown mall was, and then came a month and a half ago, the downtown mall, to try to have the same enjoyment. She said, "What the hell is happening here?" Her exact words.
Yeah. When I moved here 20 years ago, we loved coming to the downtown mall.
Everyone did.
And I'm actually meeting with Greer this week to talk about their holiday planning because it's
moving to a new location, Friends of CVille.
Yeah. Yeah. Among other things. But yeah, there's just so much going on. I did want to mention one thing.
Yeah.
UVA football.
Yeah, please.
I thought it was going to be another year of disappointment. And after the NC State game, I was convinced it's like, what's the point? But like Ted Lasso said, believe. So I made up believe UVA football laptop stickers. You can get them at Moe's, you can get them at Popito's, you can get them at Mincer's, and a few other places we'll be announcing. They're for free. Just go in and ask for one when you make your order, because they've got a cake schedule the rest of the season.
Why no Sir Speedy branding on this? You don't want to do it?
Not what it's about. It's not what it's about.
Okay.
It's about the UVA football.
I respect this. I like this.
It's about UVA football. Just like when we did we did the posters with the rotunda and it said UVA strong. We gave those out for free. Didn't put our branding on them. We just wanted to get it out in the community.
I respect that. I respect that.
And then the one thing I will say, where I will give a shameless plug, is we're getting to holiday season. So if you need any swag for your employees, if you need wearables, you need things embroidered, you need coffee mugs, technology gifts like wireless charging pads, briefcases, anything you can put your logo on. We just did an order of 1,000 insulated spigot covers for a property management company to give to all their tenants so that their pipes don't freeze. But yeah,
Which one was that?
Real Property
Presidential.
Presidential.
Doug Brooks.
Yeah. Real Property Presidential.
Oh, that's Cheryl Reynolds.
Cheryl, yeah.
She's one of our tenants.
Yeah, she is.
Second
she
floor
is.
here. She's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, she stopped by yesterday to pick those up.
Cheryl Reynolds.
But literally anything you can put a logo on, we can provide for you. If you want a step and repeat for your holiday party.
Just like the banner behind me in Conan.
We can do one of those for your selfie spots.
Did you do Ziana Bryant's? Step and repeat?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Conan, you do a good job over there.
We did our stickers as well. We did our sample ballots. She brought them in Monday at 5.
Comments coming in. This from the king of Redfields, Bob Yarborough. I trust this man, respect this man. He says the J. Jones victory should not be a real surprise. The quality and decency of our public political discourse has been devolving for quite some time without any real consequences for the offenders. Look at Trump. He talks of grabbing women by the you-know-what and openly muses about trading rifles on Liz Cheney. He's elected and even re-elected. Jones regrettably texts loose impact when lost in a sea of rhetoric that regularly devalues the lives of not only opponents, but whole segments of our population. Absent that shock, voters could more easily sideline those texts and focus on the issue that impact their everyday lives. That appears to be what voters across the nation did last night. The electorate rejected the policies and actions of the current administration, and the candidates aligned with the GOP paid the price. For all the challenges Jones presented as a candidate, his campaign made an excellent decision by focusing on Jason Miyare's closeness with Trump. Quite simply, the majority of people are no longer entranced by the POTUS and his sycophants.
Sycophants.
The messaging for the Democrats was this. This is how the Democrats won. We are the opposite of Trump, so vote for us. Right? That's how they won. And Bob Yarborough wants to highlight, I will say I absolutely love downtown Charlottesville. I love downtown Charlottesville too. Bob, I think we can be in agreement here that downtown Charlottesville needs some...
It needs some fixing.
Fixing. All right.
It needs some fixing, and that comes from leadership.
Tom Powell watching the program, the founder of Toy Lift. You need the young people from the Forge on your show. The gaming community is large and growing in our area. A great opportunity for families to get together and have fun. Multiple people are highlighting that 85% of the city of Charlottesville elected Jay Jones, and they're calling that absolutely shameful. I do want to highlight Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes. We got to get you with them. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, anything hardscape related at your house, at your place of business. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes is who you call. The hardscapes they're doing not only drive return on investment, but ladies and gentlemen, they drive return on experience and return on life. I know firsthand. Oak Valley Custom Hardscapes, fantastic office in the downtown mall in the Wells Fargo building. Conan and Judah, we are 65 minutes in. I would love closing thoughts from your guys. Anywhere you want to go. What do you make of the Orvis closing? Deep Throat says this: Orvis is closing half its stores. It's a dying brand. Tariffs were a kick to the guy on the ground. And he says it shouldn't really be taking as evidence of anything at Stonefield, but he agrees that Stonefield does seem to have extremely high turnover.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be very bad luck. But, I'm pretty well, Orvis stores are corporately owned, so they're taking that decision at a different level.
This is good for Almore Angler.
Yeah, it's very good for Angler, who's one of our clients.
Yeah. This is the Barracks Road Shopping
Barracks
Center.
Road Shopping Center.
And they're local.
And they're very local. And that's the nice thing is, I'm sure they were not happy when Orvis opened, but they're surviving and Orvis isn't. So that's
it reminds me of the Happy Cook with Williams Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
And is it the Almore Angler? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Almore Angler.
And the Almore Angler and Orvis.
Yeah.
The big box brand loses to the little guy.
Yeah, well, that's getting harder and harder because our society has gone so much to convenience and the delivery services, and not supporting the. I mean, look what the delivery services are doing to the restaurant industry.
Yeah,
I wish we would just as a society just stop that, and it also impacts the labor market horribly, as you have an entire generation of people who are working when they need money, not creating a career. So you have all of these delivery folks and gig economy people, and they've got 3 different emblems on their car for who they work for, and they do what they want, and then it's like, working is something I do when I have nothing better to do or I need money. But there's no savings, there's no growth, there's no career opportunities, and it makes it really hard for some of these service businesses and even me to find an entry-level person that I can train. It's like people don't want to show up and work a 9-to-5 job where it's hard and there's some manual labor and there's math involved. You'd be amazed how many people don't know how to use a ruler. It's like, well, it's kind of hard to cut a 5x7 postcard if you can't use a ruler to figure out which side is the 5 and which side is the 7. But I think it's doing a lot of damage to our long-term economic viability. If you think about bringing in manufacturing, it's like who's going to go do this stuff? Because you have to go. BRCC has a great program in advanced manufacturing, but you have to spend time in school and learn how to program CNC routers and things like that. And a lot of these folks are just like, I'd rather sit home and play video games than go pick up a shift on DoorDash.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I just got a notification on my phone sent by someone that I trust that is very connected. The Charlottesville Police Department is currently responding to an armed barricade. The Charlottesville Police Department is currently responding to an armed barricaded individual at the Econo Lodge on Holiday Drive. Expect a significant police presence in the area. Avoid the vicinity until further notice. This is the same area where the
homeless shelter.
The homeless shelter is going to be. This is literally next to the homeless shelter here.
Right next to the Aberdeen barn.
Next to the Aberdeen barn, 100%. This comes in, I'll remind you, but don't say my name, please. Fred Missile came by my house and basically told me he leans center aisle, but is running Democrat. And I said, because you will win that way. And he kind of just smiled, but didn't confirm, but didn't disagree. He said there won't be an R or a D by my name on election day, but I had to pick something, which of course D works better for the area. But with that said, I wish him the best and pray for success. That's for a mom. That's from a mom who has 4 kids that are in or will be in Albemarle County Public Schools, but I will not utilize her name. Judah, any closing thoughts that you want to offer the talk show?
We should get more candidates with that kind of wisdom. He knew how to play the game and win the election. So,
Fred Missile's no dummy.
good job.
That's for sure. Fred Missile's no dummy. He's a smart man. And I don't want to knock Scott Smith.
No.
But Scott Smith, 4 years in the area, embracing the R as if it was an S on his chest and he had a red cape on, was crazy thinking.
Yeah.
Was absolutely crazy thinking. And it's no knock because he at least tried, but that was never going to win.
No.
This comment's on the feed, and I'll highlight it by a comment from the Queen of Jack Jewett. Fantastic show today, Jerry and Judah. Thanks to Conan for his contributions as well. Today's show was excellent. That is all over the feed today. I will highlight this as well. Conan is someone I trust with our dollars, our firm's money, my family's money. He's done very well by our building, our tenants, and our firm. And I sincerely mean that. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia has done well by us. Judah Wickhauer is off the camera, on camera today, but oftentimes behind the camera. 16 years at this shop. He is fantastic people as well. And this is the I Love CVille show. It's 70 minutes straight of content today. Conan made the program better. Judah made the program better. It was nice to sit shotgun alongside you guys. I thought you guys were fantastic today.
Well,
that's the I Love CVille show, guys. Thank you for joining us in so long. Conan, you were awesome.
Well, thanks.